Hello, everybody. Some people on the Duolingo Educators Network asked about my epic Tour de France final exam that I give, and I thought I would explain it here. So first of all, we have to talk about project-based learning. Project-based learning, well, let me just tell you how I came into it. My very first year teaching, I was the diligent teacher. I gave final exams where the student had long essay questions to answer, and then I stayed up late at night grading those. And, we were told that we had to give a final exam the last day of school. And I was up late at night grading that final exam. And then I realized, oh no, this one girl flunked the final exam. And if she flunks the final exam, she flunks the class. She has no way to recover from this. So there I was on the phone with her saying, hey, can you show me some indication that you understood this question? And I said I never wanted to do that again. I didn't want to put myself through it. And most importantly, I didn't want to put my students through it. I'd much rather have them really, really applying the language. So I went towards project-based learning and game-based learning, which is what drove me to Duolingo. So it's difficult to blur my students' faces on the video, so instead of showing video, I took some screenshots and then covered their faces. But basically for this, they have to use every bit of French that they know, and you'll see how I get my Japanese students and my Spanish students involved also. But this is basically a big jigsaw, and I'll explain how it all goes together. Okay, so first of all, I have to tell the students about Le Tour de France, have to explain what it is, and so we watch a couple of videos. I give a little mini lecture about it. The video I love to show the most is, I think it's from 2013, where it's the first stage, and one of the tour buses, one of the buses carrying equipment, accidentally gets jammed under the finish line 15 minutes before the race is set to end. So it's like a race within the race. How are we going to get this tour bus out of here? Do we have to tell all the racers that even though they've practiced racing this route for a year, we've got to change the finish line to be 5 kilometers earlier, which is a terrible place to end it because it's around a bend. And so it's really, really fun. And like everything that can go wrong does go wrong. And that's why I love to show that one. But I have lots and lots of little videos that I show them, lots of good stuff you can find on YouTube. I like to show them the ones that go wrong, the silly things, the crazy fans, whatever. Then I give the students a sheet of paper. And the sheet of paper is basically what the final exam would have been had I not been smart. And this was for a first-year French class, so the questions are in English, but they have to write their answers to the questions, okay? And I basically go through every single grammatical skill that we've taught that year. And there's just 2 pages divided into sections about describe the weather, describe the racers, describe the sports cast, describe a commercial. There's always a commercial that cuts in at the worst possible time, right? Then I have the students choose what group they're going to be in, okay? You see, I tried to blur out the students' names here. All right, and then as a class, we decide what's going to happen. Each class is a stage of the Tour de France. A stage is a day's worth of races, okay? So I have them choose some disaster that's going to befall them. And then we make our battle plan. What order are the things going to go in? Okay, there's the weather report, there's the pre-race interviews, a race, then we have an advertisement, we've got some tourists coming and saying some stuff, we've got the second part of the race, we have an ad. So we just go through. And then they turn in that paper to me, and then I look over it. And then I circle anything that's not quite correct, not quite as well phrased as it ought to be. I circle in red and I hand it back to them. And I say, you have a chance to get 100% if you fix this. And then they fix it. And then I put out butcher paper on all the tables with big markers. And each of those sections that I had, the weather report, the racers, the interviewers, the commercial, each of those sections has a different butcher paper associated and those exact same questions that I had just given the students. So the students go around with markers and they write really big, just because I think this is more fun than turning in the papers, okay? And it makes them write their answers twice. So they get to go around with their papers that they've already turned in And I haven't corrected them because I stopped correcting a long time ago. Okay. I just tell the students when they're wrong and I want them to correct themselves. So the students have corrected themselves and turned it into me again so I can make sure, yep, you're good to go. I put a star on it. Then they go around to each of these butcher papers and they basically copy down their answer. Okay, this one says, what's the weather like? So they write down, what's the weather like? What's the weather going to be like? So we can get the future tense. So they write down, what's the weather going to be like? Okay, and then when they're done with the weather questions, then they move on to the tour guide questions. Okay, so they do that, and each of these butcher papers each butcher paper is different. This one's the weather, the next one's the tour guides, the next one's the advertisement, the next one's the racers, the next one's the sportscasters, whatever ones, okay? Then I tell everyone, all right, so you've put yourself in the groups. Remember, you decided up here, you decided what group you were going to be in, right? Okay, so now get with your group. Here's a poster, a jigsawed poster that probably has every single line that you're going to want to say on it. So all you need to do is go through it and choose your lines off that poster and write a script for me. Okay, so generally I have 3 students per team. Sometimes I have teams of only 2 students. Sometimes I have 1. Sometimes I have teams of 5 students. It's fine. I just say you have to write 10 lines of your own, and whoever's in your group, you have to write their lines also. So if you have a team of 5 people, you are turning in a handwritten script of 50 lines. That handwriting is so crucial because we know there's been like 27 high quality research studies done on it. Handwriting helps you remember better. Okay, so I have them handwrite. If they're only 1 person, then they just write their 10 lines. All right, but I want them handwriting as much as possible. All right, so I have all these baby bikes that my kids had when they were young, and I never got rid of them because I think it's so funny to watch giant high school football players riding on these little clown car bikes. It's just hysterical. And I also have a couple of scooters and a couple of skateboards, and I bring them out. It's just funny. I like it, and they like it too. They have fun. Okay, so some students are the racers, some students are the sportscasters, some students are the interviewers. However it turns out is fine. It's all good. Duolingo here, reporting. They put him into their thing. Here they're getting interviewed. These are different classes. This one class filmed theirs upside down accidentally. I don't know why the film came to me upside down, and I was like, this is funny, I'm leaving it in. So, and the students love this kind of thing. They feel such an ownership of it. I have tons and tons of ugly, ugly dress-up clothes that I save, and props and everything. So whenever we do a skit, we've got plenty of stuff, and it just makes it all more fun. Okay. I have a white t-shirt that I sewed big red polka dots on to make Le Roi de la Montagne. Just remember that. Okay. That's coming in a second. There's my portable right here. I'm out in a portable. Nobody cares what I do because I'm out in a portable, and I can have students riding little kiddie bikes in front of my portable. Each class chooses some French-speaking place to have their Tour de France. And since it's our fantasy, I don't care. They can pick up their bikes and go to Quebec if they want. We've done Djibouti. We've done Tahiti. I had one class one time say, can we go to the moon? I'm like, no, we can't go to the moon. Even though I've got this big Tauntaun poster in my classroom that has Tauntaun on the moon. They're like, but Tauntaun's on the moon. I'm like, no, but you know what we could do? And I gave them my quick little lecture on Jacques Cousteau when we wound up going underwater onto the conch shelf. So that was super fun. So that was super fun. Wherever they choose to go is fine with me. It has to be a French-speaking place. They have to be able to make the case for it. Some students have to be the weather forecasters. They could do that outside. They can do that in front of my whiteboard, my smart board projector thing. We've got a green screen in a classroom, in the building. They could do wherever they want. They could do it however they want. They always have to have some disaster befall the racers. This one class decided they were going to have a flash mob interrupt the race, and that was super fun. The students got to show off their elite dancing skills. It was wonderful. This class had a tidal wave, and it worked out well because I live just outside of Seattle, and it's always raining, so we filmed a lot of shots of them riding through puddles, and it was great. I always teach my French students how to fence, because if I see them yawning, I can shout en garde, and they have to jump to their feet, and I say marche, retraite, feinte, and they go through all the sword fighting stuff. And so this class decided that their their disaster was going to be a sword fight was going to break out in the middle of it, and that was wonderful. We have a commercial cut in at the most inappropriate times. So this class went to Home Depot to buy a Frigo. This class invented spray-on shoes, whatever. All my French classes really love Miraculous Ladybug. And so a lot of them do stuff. And what I showed my colleagues on Duolingo was this most beautiful film footage I have ever seen any of my classes do. It was directed so well. So I'm sure your school also is having this problem of vandalism post-pandemic. There was this stupid TikTok challenge. And so we cannot keep our restrooms clean. And so they decided that the bad guy from this show was behind all that. And so they had like just beautiful direction. These kids are going to be so famous someday. They remember my Roi de la Montagne shirt? Okay, well, they decided that was Ladybug's shirt, and it was really funny. All right, Ladybug goes to the bathroom, but she realizes she can't go in because it's the boys' bathroom. And so she's got to call Chat Noir. Chat Noir decided to wear my Batman cape in addition to my cat ears. I don't know why, but it was funny. I like funny stuff. Okay, so they were just beautiful. They had this most epic fight scene ever. The direction was incredible. It was just so amazing. So proud of them. And they decided the bad guy butterfly was Duo, of course. So anyway, if you want more information on this, either connect with me through the Duolingo Educator Network, write some comments here, or check out my book at studio-nemo.com. It's all about weird stuff like this, and I'm working on 2 other books also. So I love game-based learning. I love project-based learning. I'm also working on the Harvard Project Zero thinking routines, which you'll see in another playlist. So thanks for watching this far.